Okay, here we are. We are live, and it's another episode of the Business Owners Collective Facebook Live with our writers. And today I have the gorgeous Sze Wing Vetault. I hope I've got that correct, from Sydney. But before we get into that, you'll see that the Business Owners Collective, it's our monthly magazine, and we love to showcase people who are experts in their field and just bring a whole new, just offer value and education and be informative for our audience. And of course, there's no selling, there's no pitching, and there's definitely no advertising. So that's what the Business Owners Collective is all about. And what I will do is add a link to the to this recording so that we can have the link there for you to go and check out our magazine and also check out Sze and check out her article. So welcome today. It's so good to have you. So, if you could just give us a little bit of a rundown on who you are and what you're doing and your authoring and your speaking, and it's all so cool. So, yeah.
Well, thanks, Bron, for having me today. It was so cool to write the article for you, I think, just a couple of weeks back. And so for those who don't know me, my name is Sze Wing Vetault. Actually, pronounce it perfectly. And I have difficult names before I was married and now. So anyway, so as she mentioned, Bron mentioned that I am an author, I'm a coach and a speaker. And so it was wonderful to get the opportunity to contribute to your magazine. And I wrote about the archetypes and hero journey. And I guess your question is about who am I and what do I do, that sort of thing. Actually, I thought it was funny just to mention that because of Bron, who asked me, do you want to pitch in an article? I said, yes. Actually, when I said yes, I think my baby was just 3 or 4 weeks old.
Maybe not even. He was a little dude by then.
I don't know, like I would say, I don't know about you, the listeners or the viewer, but I think a lot of women these days that really have this, not necessarily trying to be perfect, but you want to have a career, you want to do something you're passionate about, that you think it's meaningful and it's speak the truth of you, it's your inner yearning, and you want to do it as well, having a good family life and good relationship. And I felt a lot of women in the same shoes. So for me, that when I got that invitation, I jumped on it, and I really want to pen the article because obviously I'm a writer, I like to write. And I kind of almost forgot that I just had a baby at the background at the same time. But it's not so much about pushing and trying. I don't know, it's just something we do. And I mean, of course, I love having, the new baby bundle of love time. But I think, these days we are all on a journey where we're doing what we love. So I was really happy to get an opportunity to give me an opportunity to write for a reason,
Oh, absolutely. And I think I think that when opportunity knocks, right? So, and I think when that knocks, it just flows. So it's not difficult, it's not hard, you're not working, you're not controlling. It's just allowing that to come through. And I mean, I loved your article. So tell us a little bit about the hero journey and how you came about. Because I noticed in there you've mentioned a little bit that you've done a lot of research, and I know you have because you've written books. So I know that you know it. So just tell us a little bit about the hero journey and how you came about to even think about that, and how you've tied that into archetypes. And what does that mean?
Yeah, so I guess there's a few folds of your question, but one of the things I didn't get to mention in the article because don't want to be too long was, how in a subconscious or unconscious mind, often there are seeds and there are different things. And then when the time is right, it kind of, they join together or they popped up, and then you start to see how meaningful they can be. And I think that's one of those things that happen. Because when people ask me, how did you get this idea to talk about hero journey and archetypes and put them all together? I actually think I cannot honestly tell you when I start to say, oh, this and this and this. It's like making a stir fry in a way. But now because so many people ask me, I have to really think harder. And I realized that unconsciously, my dad has been talking about hero journey since I was a kid because he's an actor. So, in any creative writing courses, and if people who are in the theater, you learn, or in the movie business, people talk about the hero journey because George Lucas used it, most of the books and plots have it, and they come from Joseph Campbell. Now, Joseph Campbell is an editor for Carl Jung in some of his books. And I have been reading Carl Jung's Archetypes and the Unconscious Mind. And then on the other side of the things, I've been reading a lot of mythology and especially goddess myths because I think they really resonate with women. So obviously, when I realize what I'm doing kind of are related, but nobody that I know have put them all together and say stack them up and looking through this particular lens, then I thought maybe there's something for me to write about. So the archetypes often people refer to your inner pattern, the inclination, your personality, your character, so to speak, that there are patterns within you that are like blueprint. You may not even be totally aware of it, but when I mention it, then you're like, oh yeah, that seems to be like just like me. And so some people will have archetypes like the warrior or the prostitute or the mother or the child. But I prefer the goddess archetype, which is a lot more complex. Because if I say Athena, the goddess Athena, you all know that she's like, many people know about her myths and so have an impression of her being very much a strategic person, headstrong, clever, can focus and so forth. So it's complex, right? When I say warrior, I feel more one-dimensional. So I love the goddess archetypes because they're more complex, they're more full, and they have light and shadow aspects. And then when I put it on top of the hero journey, which is really our transformation journey, and many women go through that because, from a girl to become a woman become a mother, there's a lot of transformation going on physically, emotionally. So that it's like every one of these is journey speaking, you have different challenges, you have different lessons, but you have different rewards. You become a different person or a better person, so to speak, at the end. So when you put the two together, then you realize who you are, where you are, then it becomes a very different ball game because first of all, you will never stay where you are forever. And second of all, the goal is always to become more of who you are. And I think that helps me and my clients and people I talk to first of all, chill out a little bit more because nothing is set in stone and you can always, change and influence in a different way. So I guess that's why I'm passionate about this. And I think that's why it's interesting and useful to look at life that way. So that's how it all condensed together, if you ask me.
So from that, and just so that you can, because I'm interested in this. So in terms of the hero journey, I understand it's the transformation. Is it like a life journey? Like, I mean, do you have, is it a bit like, not playing a game? Because I know with the hero journey, and I've read and I've looked through and I can understand when we've got the guide and we've got the path and we've got to go this and then the bad things happen and then what do you do when the bad things happen? And I think that's what you're talking about there, is that as the journey, meaning life happens, is it how we show up in terms of how as a goddess? I mean, do you learn it or is it who you are or is it both?
Okay, let me unpack it a bit. So with those who don't know hero journey, just think about it as a 4-quarter of a journey, like a circle. Some people call it a soul adventure. So you will have a starting point where something trigger you. Say you make redundant, you broke up with your boyfriend or whatever. So you started your journey where you think you're going to go through some life lessons. And then you have challenges, you have mentors and so forth. So you will have a stage where I would say it's just a discovery that you are on to something. And then you have a development stage where, things start to happen. You may have challenges and lessons and so to speak. So you're forming, and then you may come to a point which is like, go to the bottom, which is the belly of the whale, where you like rock bottom or very like unsure. And then something will happen or you decide to put it together and, or someone help you and so to speak, and you join a network or got on a coaching course. I don't know. Then you kind of move up into what I call deepening, where you start to see the light of the tunnel or you start to see where to go from where you were. Because usually after you hit rock bottom, the breakdown is a breakthrough after that.
Yeah, right? That's right.
So you're on the way back up. We call it the resurrection. So, and then eventually we go back to where you were. You're still the same person, but you were no longer the same because you have been empowered. You will become more than who you were. So that's sort of the journey, like a circle, right?
Does it keep going? I mean, as life happens?
Yes. So I would say when I first wanted to write a book, it's the same thing, refuse to start and procrastinate to start. And then someone encouraged you and then you got stuck in the writable block. And then something happened, you started to flow and so forth. So you could be writing your book, starting a business. That could be your own transformation because you become more than who you were before. But it could be like becoming a mother is often a journey for many, as a heroine journey, doesn't matter. So for me, it's like every big life stage, you tend to have one on it. You're on a journey, whether you know it or not. But if you see it that way, it helps you to know you can get unstuck, nothing stays forever, and it's just a stage, and what do you need to do about it at this stage? If you're in discovery stage, it means get off the seat and start moving. I think by knowing who you are and where you are helped you to move forward easier, if not faster. So I say that, especially for women, if you go through motherhood, menopause, or starting your new job, you definitely have a new journey. But some journeys are bigger than the others. But I would say most people go through a few of them. So that's the way how I use it or view it. I think that answers your question, right?
It definitely answers the question, because I think the thing here is the awareness that there's even a journey going on, meaning rather than just living like letting it smack you in the face. And as you know, I've had the diagnosis of breast cancer, so I know what it's like to be slapped with something. And I mean, I just think as you get older, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something's going to happen. So it could be good or bad, remembering that that's my take on it, and correct me if I'm wrong there. So when these things happen, you can either, as you say, you're in that discovery, which is, could be free falling, it's the fear, the whole shebang, but it's having enough awareness, I think, to be able to go, what's the lesson here? What can I do? Which I think, as you said, as we transition round to the bottom, towards the rock bottom of what's going on, to go, well, you've got two options here. You got this or you got this. And it's like, cool, I'm going to make this as a lesson. I'm going to use it for a good. And I think I would love to know, where does the goddess archetype or archetypes, how does that fit into that kind of part of the story? Because it is a story.
Okay, if I may use your example as a backbone, like for example, you said when you got diagnosed with breast cancer, a lot of times, let's say the lesson here was that maybe you were working too hard, you burn out. And part of the thing is that when I listen to your story and getting to know you better, I guess very likely you have a strong Athena archetype who maybe like really has strong, can focus, do a lot of amazing things, very successful, really can consume in and give it all. But the downside sometimes of such archetype is that you disconnect from your body, you are totally focused and therefore not necessarily asking yourself, what does your soul want, what is your inner being telling you? You just keep going and going and going, and you are disconnected from your body, from your emotional self. You tend to say I think rather than I feel. So what happens is that for Athena to mature and to evolve, often you either have a health challenge or something else that sort of have to shake you up a little bit, because you need to say, hey, listen, something's going on here. And that's the beauty of it, that you can stuck at the beginning of the hero refuse the call, meaning you may have symptoms or maybe even get diagnosed of something, but you don't want to deal with it. That's called refusal of the call, because you don't want to get on with this journey. Or it could be that someone have known this for a while but felt stuck at the belly of the whale, which means that you feel you're in the rock bottom, but you haven't made the decision to get out of it. It could be a victimhood sort of identity. I mean, sometimes we need that for a little bit, right? You need to sort of confront it, admit it, accept it. But then the next step is to come out of it, because, like the crucifixion, you need to get off the cross in order to get resurrected. You can't stay there.
No, that's right. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
It is.
So for an archetype, like for me, it's that knowing who you are and then knowing what you need next to evolve. For Athena, it's about connecting to your soul, connecting to your emotional body, your physical body. But then, you're a mother yourself, so you also have the influence of Demeter, who it's like everybody first, looking after everyone before yourself. So that also an archetype tend to have burnout. So your lesson in that particular scenario is, how do you look after yourself better? How do you mother yourself as well as you mother others? So that helps you to, when you know who you are, then the way you are make more sense. And then you also know how to get out of where you are quicker.
And for me in that space, it was about learning, because people would say to me, let go. And I'd go, I don't know what that means, because it was like almost a paradigm thing. I couldn't understand it. But then as that happened, and since then, it's not letting go, it's letting be. Mm-hmm. Just let it be. It's a very different way. So if people who are struggling with, I've got 5 boys and I was running a business and, I wasn't, it was too much. It's too much, but I did what I thought was right at the time. The best part about it is, is that you can learn that, but it was about to let be. So for me, I had to have something very serious to stop, which I'm forever grateful for. It would have been lovely to have something a little less traumatic. But, you think about the people, I know so many people who just hate their jobs, but they don't leave. And that's the thing, right? They're stuck down the bottom. They're down the bottom there on the process of the hero, of the journey. And nothing can make people, you can't make people do anything. But I just feel it's, I would, in hindsight, I would rather change something than to stay doing something that I already know consciously is not right.
But what's so interesting? What you just said about let go and to become let be, because for Athena, for instance, we're going back to this archetype again. I'm not saying that's the
because I want to be. This is the whole thing. I find it fascinating.
Okay, so you don't only have one archetype. It's just that was very strong and active in you during that time. So here's the thing. For Athena, she wants to succeed. She wants to complete her mission, right? So letting go is kind of the opposite, because it feels like if you let go, you don't get it done. And she's about getting it done. Now, when you say let it be, then it's different, because it's not about not completing. It's just that you have evolved into a different state of mind. So it will still, actually, it is a very logical step for Athena to mature, because it's not just about getting things done, but it's about having a life worth living. It's not about, let's just finish life, get it done, right? It's about how deep you go, how colorful you make your life. So that shift itself is like a graduation. By able to see, is that letting go, is letting be, that is a huge breakthrough, I would say. And at the same time, like again, you're an example about knowing that, maybe it's time to change the way you run your business, or even different type of business, because you don't want to constantly be burning out. Again, it's a self-awareness, right? So you have gone through the whole journey that you have come back up on top, and, you may pick on a new business, which could be a new journey. But I think it's helpful by recognizing it, because then it becomes clearer, like what is really going on. So
totally I love it. So in terms of I know you've written a book. How many books have you written?
Well, 2? I mean, The Goddess with Many Faces is the I would say the second book, but it's the first full-length book. The first one I have is called 21 Days Inspiring Journey, so which is a shorter book. It's not as full length as you would say. So it's so I'm working on my third book, so to speak, which is like continuation, but I pack more into the Goddess journey, about becoming the modern women that we all aspire to be, that you have your success in your work or your purpose fulfilled, and at the same time you have a good family life and good relationship. And I think it's because a lot of us want to be like that, and it's about having it all, but not doing it all. And
exactly. I love it. I love that. So in terms of, hold on a second. Sorry, my son just keeps trying to ring me, and I've just got to. You keep talking, because what I'd love people to do is, how can people find you? So while you're doing that, I'm texting my son to say I'm busy.
Well, like for all the listener viewers there, when we have kids, when they call and text, this is just that you gotta deal with it because you don't know, especially when a little one, like or babysitter's phone. Anyway, I say if people are interested in hearing more about archetypes or hero journey, or have a coaching session with me that is based on these things that we're talking about. So sometimes a conversation can really make a difference because it helps you to change your perspective. And for me, I learned a lot from just having some conversation that right for me at the time. So they can find me online, which is basically my website, sewingvetault.com, my full name. You see it, the name.
So what we're going to do is that I'd love you to make sure that once we're done, I want you to please go and pop that detail in there just so that people can find you, because not only have you written a book, you've also got a podcast. So I just think it's really, and this is the thing, right? You've got some amazing people on there, and you've been running it a while now. So, let's support you. Let's listen. Let's find out about what you're reading. And I think I've told you before that whenever I do hear of someone who's written a book, I always buy the book. Yes, I'm old-fashioned.
Are you an ebook? Okay, wait. This is actually very interesting. Are you an ebook reader? Do you read a physical book, or you do audiobook? What type of reader are you?
I like the physical book, and I have a Kindle. So depending on where I'm going, I would prefer a hard copy because, obviously my generation, my age,
Actually, every generation loves physical book if they can.
I prefer the physical book for me personally, but I do have a Kindle. Obviously, I've got my iPad and Kindle and whatever. For me personally, I'm not an audio learner.
Right. Okay, so I love doing this little research because for me, all my books now, I'm trying to have all format available.
Yes.
Australia's catching up with the audiobook, but I now listen to audiobook because while I'm cooking and babysitting. So, but yes, you can get my book on all the format except audio at the moment, the ebook and a physical copy. So on my website, that's all the details. And my podcast is a weekly episode. I often interview people just like this, and sometimes a solo episode to share useful information with my listeners. And you can, if you have an iPhone, you're just on iTunes. And it's just Sze Wing Vetault, and you can just search me on a podcast. But all the major podcasting platform you can find me, like Spotify, Google Play, and so forth. So my podcast is just my full name. You can just just like anything now, you can just Google the name and you will find it. And you can also listen to a podcast on my website.
So one last question for you: what's next for you? Like, you have an amazing new little baby boy, and as I said, you are just amazing. I just am inspired by just the way you're so passionate about what you do, but it's even more than that. You demonstrate, you walk your talk, you don't just talk it, and I just love that in you. So what's next? What's coming next? I mean, there's a third book. What else? So what else are you going to do next?
I guess just to make it exciting for all of us here. I mean, definitely I'm working on my next book, which is Becoming a Goddess. And then obviously online courses that are aligned with those things. But I think what will be really exciting is to really start to think about in-person events, maybe at the end of the year or next year, because I think we all miss out to see each other in person, to connect to our reader, or viewer, or like audio listener, to share experience, what we learn. And I love going to workshops and retreats, and we haven't been able to do that for quite some time. So I would say I would love to work on a big event where I invite all the amazing teachers and colleagues that I know, and to really give people a sort of a good experience about finding who they are and transforming their life. So of course it's all about inspiration and all about empowerment, but for me it's that to really start connecting with people once again, hopefully in person. So that would be my dream to do.
Oh, look, one day. Has to be one day. Oh, I couldn't agree more. I really think, like Angela Heisey from eWomen, member as well, she wrote an article about Zoom fatigue, and honestly, real thing. So that's fantastic. So we'll pop all the details in once this goes live on the Bron WhatsApp page, and we'll also put this on the eWomen Network page as well, because obviously being a member there, which would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that you thought would be valuable that's not, because I mean, I think in the article you've actually got the graphic, you've actually got the image of that circle that you've been talking about. So if you haven't read the article, I would suggest, guys, please read it, because it's got those details in there. But what's one last thing you'd like to add before we wrap up that could go in there for somebody who is looking for that driven person who is looking to really, bring, I suppose, that the next stage of the hero journey? Because obviously I think their stage isn't, like, it just keep going round and round and round. So, yeah, what's one more thing you'd like to add?
I really think at the moment I tend to want to say to people, nothing stay the same forever. So let's say you're really struggling with the current pandemic, that you are at home or you're not, doing what you love to do, like you used to do, but nothing stays forever. So the same in the hero journey, whether you're stuck at the rock bottom or you're beginning, life keep on going forward, and even though it doesn't feel like it's like a spiral staircase. You don't feel you're moving upward or forward, but you are. It just may not seem that way, right? So everything shall pass, whether it's dark times or whatever that is. And I think it's an important thing to think about. Sometimes we're so, hold on to this, this feel horrible, this is not working out for me, and we keep beating the drums and drive ourselves crazy. But the thing is, nothing stays forever. So if it doesn't work out for you, or you don't like where you are right now, think about it, that when you look back in 2 months later, things may change dramatically. So to know all that shall pass helps you to think about it in a bigger picture, that don't get so hang up on one aspect or one person or one event, because many things are at play. So but just to become a better person, or to keep learning, investing in yourself, no matter when, I think that would be my advice. And that's what you can take from each journey, that nothing stays the same.
I love that. And I think, guys, if you can, I would suggest definitely catching up with Sze Wing here and having a conversation. Only that you hear things I just feel that you hear things that other people don't. So I really love the way you clarify things. But I want to say thank you for today. I really appreciate it. And that's great to have you here.
Thank you.
See you guys. Bye for now.
Bye.